Hi, everyone. This is CricketSong with Uner Wisdom, and you're watching another episode of Wyrds, Witches, Witchcraft. And I'm here this week with my usual co-host, Obsidian Fire. Say hello.
Hello, I'm back. Sorry for last week. Je suis désolée pour la semaine dernière, j'étais pas là. Voilà, il y a eu un petit pépin pour une amie à moi, donc je l'ai reçu plein milieu de la nuit. Et puis voilà, ça faisait pas beaucoup de sommeil pour moi le lendemain matin, donc je ne suis pas venue. Mais cette semaine, non seulement on est là, mais en plus on a un invité. We have a guest.
Yes, we have a guest tonight, Aaron Lozano.
Yes.
Yay!
Hello.
From Turtle Heart Tarot is with us tonight. Yay.
Hello.
And usually when we have Aaron on, we do readings, but this week, excuse me, I have a tickle in my throat. This week we have a topic that we want to discuss. And it was sent to me by a viewer subscriber. So I definitely wanted to take it into consideration and actually discuss it since, you know, the show exists for the viewers and the subscribers. So we're going to talk with Aaron today about this is the question or questions I was given in an email. How do we as seasoned tarot readers handle friends, family members, and random people who believe that the tarot is of the devil, especially if we ourselves are from a Christian background? How do we handle these things both within ourselves and outwardly when we're confronted with that belief? And I think this is a really good topic to discuss because, I mean, I'm from a Christian background. How about you, Aaron? Are you from a Christian background?
Catholic Christian, yes.
Yeah, me too. Roman Catholic. And Obsidian, I know you're not, right?
Not really, but there is always I mean, not always, but most often there is like a scent of Christianity in France. So there is a strong background here, but not especially from my parents, but there was anyway.
Okay. So the three of us definitely have some Christian background or from our childhood or from family members. And I know me, for one, my mother thinks tarot is from the devil. So it really is definitely something that I have had to address. How about both of you? Have you been told or suggested to you that it is of the devil?
Yep. My mom does not believe in what I believe in. Even like I associate myself as witch, and I do tarot and I do crystals and all this stuff. But now that I'm older and that she's older, I had to come to a commonality on the spiritual part, because as she grew deeper into Christianity and Catholicism, she became more spiritual, and so I could connect with her on that level. So it's a don't ask, don't tell on the tarot part, but the spiritual part, we can still talk and communicate to each other. Okay,
good. And Obsidian, did you say people have told you it's of the devil?
No, because first of all, because I don't use tarot.
Okay.
So that's this point. And the second point is, as you know, there's a long time ago that I've stopped to pull cards to people because it went bad at one point, just at one, but it wasn't enough for me. So basically, I didn't let them the time to tell me it was from the devil.
Okay. So, how do you? Or I guess I think it'd be helpful for us to discuss maybe like how we might handle it. And then just because we handle something in one way doesn't mean that there aren't other ways that we could handle it. So I'd kind of like to talk about how we would handle it if it maybe was, you know, a stranger as opposed to someone closer to us that we have a more relationship with. And then other suggestions that, you know, just because I do it this way, you could also do it this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, and come up with different ideas for people who might be watching this in chat or later on a recorded thing, you know, the recorded version of this. And I would like to throw out there that anyone in chat, if you have ideas or suggestions or questions in regards to the topic, don't hesitate to ask. I think Obsidian will keep an eye out on chat.
Yep.
Thank you. So what do you think? What would you say? What have you said?
Oh, a stranger. I've noticed that if other people are getting it done and they're talking about it, like I used to have a hairdresser, Myra, and she would talk about how I did tarot because she would come to me. One time a person did come up to me and they had to tell me, I just think that what you do is wrong. And I just had to tell you that. And you know what I say to the people that need to do that? That's their own fucking ego trying to fucking bring us down. And you know what? If that makes you feel better, good for you. That's what I say. I didn't say anything. I was just like, okay, whatever. You didn't pay me $20 to tell your fortune, so I don't care, you know, or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
strangers, it's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, you got to take it in stride.
Yeah.
Unless they're doing something like hurtful, like spitting on you. And, you know, I believe that we are able to protect ourselves. If they're getting physical, I believe that, you know, do what you need to do. But if they're just telling you something, just take it with a grain of salt and keep moving on.
Yeah.
That should be difficult, though. If someone were to walk to me and just out of the blue telling me, like it happened to you, Aaron, that what you do is wrong, and it would be probably more than just, yeah, whatever, from me. I mean, it would probably be something like...
You're going to jump on him?
Yeah, I would bite hard. Kind of, you know, mind your own business. Didn't I tell you that your skirt is shit? Or something like this?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I look at it in a psychological way. They're doing something. They've created this behavior, and they're doing something because they're trying to get a reaction out of the person that they want to hurt. And in a psychological way, by reacting the way they want you to react, because that's what they want, you're giving them exactly what they're wanting to get.
Yeah.
And so now that I'm older, yes, I don't approach it that way. But before, I would become timid. I would feel like I'm doing something wrong. When I first started out, if somebody would have done that, I would have really taken it to heart, went home, maybe stopped doing tarot and for a while, because it would creep into my own ego, and the ego would be telling me, what are you doing? I would feel like I was back in the day when my mom, I'd have to hide my tarot cards. I'd have to hide my crystals. I'd have to hide everything from her. And one time she did find a book that was with one of my tarot cards, and it was a deck that you can't get anymore, and she burnt it. And I was like, no! But she didn't burn my card. She burnt the book, which I was still pissed about. But back in those days, you know, when it's family and you have to look at the circumstances. Are they taking care of you? Are you living with them? Are they paying the rent? Are they doing this? Then you have more challenges happening, because you really can't be you unless you're ready to step out and make your own money and pay your own bills. You know, you have to live within the circumstances and confinements that they're giving you, but it doesn't mean that you can't practice.
Yeah, I think for me, a stranger, it would depend on the stranger, and I guess the context of how they're approaching me. So, like, if the stranger, if I'm, you know, sitting and doing readings and someone comes up, like if I'm at a psychic fair or something, and someone comes up and approaches me and says, you know, this is of the devil. What are you doing? You're going to hell. I would be like, if I'm already like in that zone that I'm reading, I'd be like, well, why don't you sit down and tell me why you think it's of the devil, and take that opportunity to educate them.
Yes.
If I'm just like at the hairdresser and I'm not doing tarot, but someone's talking about it, I'm depending on the vibe I'm getting from that individual who is doing that, I might just shrug them off or ignore them.
Mm-hmm.
Or say, well, thank you for your concern. Thank you, just thank you for your concern. Because I mean, it depends, it depends on the scenario. It depends on the person. I mean, because I mean, I know at one time when I was out ministering and service and knocking on doors, and I would tell people that, and I full-heartedly in that moment believed I was trying to do them a service.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, is the person trying to hurt me? Is the person trying to just make me feel bad? Or is the person actually genuinely concerned about me? I mean, I really think different attitudes from different people,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, obviously, if it's someone who seems to be really into his or her path, and obviously do not mean any harm, there's no need to jump on his or her throat. But anyway, there would be no conversation. Useless. Totally useless. So it's gonna be go F yourself.
Yeah.
Taste the 50 shades of go F yourself.
I think sometimes, like, if I could think of different scenarios, like when I was doing readings at different venues, and I was invited to that place to offer readings. So all the people there weren't necessarily going to get a reading.
Right.
And sometimes the people were interested, but they would say things like, someone told me this is, part of devil worship, or, they're curious and they're like, I heard what you're doing is going to send you to hell. So it's almost like they kind of believe it, but they're not sure. And they're curious, but they're afraid. I think those are the ones that you can have a conversation with and kind of show them and educate them, because it's just hearsay. They're getting it from someone who may not even believe it either. It's, this person said it's of the devil, or my aunt said she got possessed when she read tarot, or something like that.
Oh God.
Well, you crazy shit sometime.
I know.
Now, do you approach it? What are you laughing at? Oh, were you laughing at what I said, or is there something going on in chat?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really.
What about if it's like someone you care about, someone that well, I think you said, I think you answered that, Aaron, didn't you?
Well, with family, with friends, family, and there was family, friends, and strangers, right?
Yeah.
And then ourselves. So with family, it's all about circumstances. It's all about, are you on your own? If you're on your own, it's no one's business what you do. They don't need to know. If they want to ask you a question, they better be prepared for that answer. They better be ready for you to tell them exactly what it is. And it doesn't have to be hurtful, but it's like, well, do you really want, I ask people, do you really want to hear what it is? Like, what do you do for a living? Before I would shudder and be like, fuck, I'm going to say this. I'm a tarot reader and see what happens. Now, when they ask me, it's like, I'm a tarot reader and healer. And they'll go, oh, okay. It's all about your confidence level. It's all about where you're at on your journey, because this is a big journey for you. You're stepping out from a comfort zone that you've known for so long, and you're becoming the new person that you are now. So when you pick up that deck and you decide to read tarot, you got to be ready for that journey, along with healing, along with becoming a teacher, along with just being a better person, being conscious. You're choosing to take a step forward, and that's going to have a lot of residual effects happen, because you were thinking one way before, and now the shift happened, and all of that stuff comes in that you have to deal with. And that, I think that's part of it. Dealing with your family who don't approve of it, they can say whatever they want to say to you, but it's your path. Are you ready to walk it, or are you not ready to walk it? That's what you have to think of when that comes up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree, because there is a big shift. I mean, if and I suppose, you know, for people that may come in sort of phases too, you know, when you're, at least for me, when I was first learning tarot and doing readings just for friends, it was more, you know, I wasn't fully, you know, doing it professionally. And it was more of a hobby kind of thing, or practice. You know, it was like I had my mundane job and I used to just kind of, you know, do readings for friends and family if they were interested, to get the experience. And then when I made that transition, you know, so when people ask me, what did I do for a living? Oh, I work at a bank, because that was what I was doing for a living. But when I left that, and I was solely focused on, you know, the business, the tarot business, and doing, you know, other things tarot related, working at the metaphysical shop. I would say, yes, I work at the metaphysical shop. I do tarot readings, you know, but I remember the first few people I told, it was kind of scary, you know, to just say, yeah, I'm a psychic, I'm a tarot reader.
Yeah.
What? Really? You do that for a living? Yeah. What's your problem? You know?
I know. And now,
weird,
I think
it was
now,
that. Go ahead.
as we're seasoned, we're more educated. Like, we can have a conversation and know what the hell we're talking about. Whereas before, I doubted myself when it came to tarot. I think this, but now whenever I get questioned, anything they can come back with as far as, well, what about this and what about that? I have something that can counter that as well. That's informative, not a rebuttal to where I'm going to argue with you and make you see how I want you to see, but more of, here are the facts. You can take them or not. I don't care if you believe it or not. It doesn't matter, because I know I'm not lost here. That's how I feel when people approach you with a negative manner. They're lost. They're looking for something. They're trying to find something to hold on to. They're trying to find their way. They're trying to find their path. And us, we're not lost. So when they question us, they're trying to make us second guess what we believe and who we believe in and how we feel. And we're not. So I tell people, I'm not lost. When they get mad, I'm not lost. You are. So if you want to be informed, be informed. If you don't, have a nice day. Guess what? Go talk to the person over there, not me, you know?
Right. Yeah. And I think sometimes, I mean, even if they're pretty, you know, comfortable where they're in their spiritual path or whatever it is that they believe, I think sometimes they're just uninformed about this. And I think, you know, they're afraid of what that might do, or they're afraid that if what we're telling them is some version of truth, it's going to make them doubt what they believe. And it's scary to doubt something, especially if you were, you know, raised in a certain mindset, or, you know, you've been told something for your life, your whole life, and now someone else is suggesting a different truth. It can be scary if you are, you know, comfortable where you're at.
Yeah.
Or if you have been told that for so long that you don't know how to think outside the box.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is a lot of people, I think, with this kind of background. They were raised a certain way, and they were told not to believe that, not to do that, not to have any interest in some of fields that we may us practice, like any kind of divination, for that matter, because it works for tarot, but it's the same with everything else.
I agree.
So they've been told that for so long.
Yeah.
That's it, how to handle.
Right. Someone just pointed out, and I've heard this too, and it makes me chuckle. Tarot is evil, but not angel cards.
Oh.
Yeah. Or not oracle cards.
No,
it's just the tarot cards.
No.
Have you come across that? Because I certainly have.
I think whoever I come in contact with, they usually just associate tarot with everything. any kind of cards is tarot. That's what.
Oh,
that's the
really?
rebuttal. Yeah, like even if you were to do an oracle card, that's still bad too, because that's tarot. And I'm like, no, it's not tarot. That's oracle cards. Well, what's an oracle deck? And then you have to explain the whole thing to them. There is a difference. And then and on a footnote, I think that a lot of people associate tarot with oracle when they're learning, and when you're trying to teach them tarot, they just say, well, it's just an oracle deck, and you're just reading it. You're just getting. And I go, no, it wouldn't be called tarot, because if it was just a deck of cards, why don't you go pick up a deck of 52 cards and read it psychically? Because that's kind of what's happening when you're just doing that. Tarot is a set of cards that has a major arcana and a minor arcana. If it was just a deck, it would just be a deck. It wouldn't be called tarot. Well, it would be, but it'd be like a deck of cards. Have fun with your deck of cards. And so, yeah, so I think they just associate everything with me. They associate everything together, and they just call it tarot. And it's like, okay, well, no, it's not,
Right. At the metaphysical store that I worked at, there was an angel card reader. And then there were tarot card readers.
Mm-hmm.
But some of us tarot card readers would read oracle decks too. Yeah. But they specifically had someone always there who read angel cards because of the bad reputation tarot decks have. Mm-hmm. And angel cards, those messages come from your angels, but tarot doesn't.
Yeah.
Was basically what people thought. And that used to get under my skin. It really did. It doesn't so much now. I just kind of like roll my eyes and go, okay, if that's how you want to perceive it. But the thought that angel cards are okay, but tarot isn't. That's just, I don't know. I think, divination is divination no matter what you're going to use.
Thank you. Yes. But if you're going to learn a certain form of divination, you better learn the rules, and you better learn the set ways that you have to learn it. You can't pop them all into one thing and just be like, oh, it's just stuff. It's just, no, it's not. You can't apply whatever. I'll get off on a different tire.
Well, no, you know what it's like, Aaron? I think this is what you're getting at. They're all tools. Yes. They're all tools.
Yes, I agree.
Divination. But just as a tool, you wouldn't take a screwdriver and use it like a hammer.
Correct.
You wouldn't take a hammer and use it like a screwdriver, because you might be able to assemble that thing you want to assemble, but man, it's going to be all fucked up if you're doing it like that. It doesn't mean you can't get it done. You most certainly could, but the hammer has a certain way you use it, and the screwdriver has a certain way you use it. And then there's the Phillips head or the straight head screwdriver. Screwdrivers, but they're used in different ways. That's the same, I think, with all the divination tools, especially with cards too, because I would even say if you're going to read a regular deck of 52 bicycle playing cards, you can read them, but you're going to read them differently than you do an oracle deck, and differently than from a tarot deck.
Yes. And when you do read, you are using your psychic ability. Mm-hmm. You are using your psychic ability. It just depends on what level you're using that psychic ability. You might not be 100% psychic. If you're 100% psychic, honey, you ain't a tarot reader. If you're reading psychically the whole time and all you're doing is flipping the cards up, you might as well just unflip them and read the back of the fucking cards. Like, that's what I say. And then call yourself a psychic. That's cool. I'm cool with that. But don't tell people you're a tarot reader. Don't say I'm a tarot reader, because they're going to think that's what tarot reading is. And then when a real tarot reader comes in and questions you, what does the moon card mean? That doesn't mean the moon card. Well, that's how I read it. Well, that's the whole debate on what I get in sometimes. It's because tarot is a set of cards. It's a certain divination form that you have to learn, and then you can use your psychic abilities wherever you're at, and you'll be 50%, 75%, and that's what I teach, that the cards are a jumping point for you to be able to tap into spirit. Because when you're tapped into spirit and you're reading the cards, you get much more information than just reading the card. And so
I've met people who just read the cards. Like, there's there's really I don't know. This is my opinion. Take it for what it is. It's an opinion that I've been to people who just read the cards and there's no psychic connection there. They're just reading the symbolism and the information in the card. There's no psychic connection there. And as a reader and a psychic, I can tell the difference. And then I've had people who say that, like you said, are tarot readers, but they're not reading any of the tarot. They're flipping cards and they're using their psychic abilities. And it's not that they're not doing a good read. They're doing a good read, but honey, you're not getting that information from that Queen of Swords or, because that does not mean that. That connects with what you said 5 minutes ago, but what you're saying now does not connect with that card. You're getting that, and it connects to me, and yes, it applies, but you're not getting that from that card.
Yeah. That's why when I do my business card, I'll put tarot reader, psychic, healer.
Yeah.
And other people will just put tarot reader, and it's like, if you're just a psychic, you can say intuitive tarot reader, because then you know they're not working with the fucking cards. You can say intuitive tarot reader, you can say psychic, card reader, whatever you want to put. But if you're going to put tarot reader, you better be a tarot reader. That's how I feel. You better, in some way, shape, or form, at least say, oh, this is the moon card. I know that there's a hard journey ahead, or whatever. Because if I'm a tarot reader and I come to you and I want a reading, and I see that you're not reading the cards the way that, you're just psychically picking up the information, then don't rue me. Just tell me it's a psychic reading. I'll be perfectly fine. I'll still pay you your money, but I just feel like I just don't like that. That's all. That's my opinion.
To put intuitive, I don't have current business cards, but I used to put intuitive tarot reader because it covered all bases for me. That's because I would intuitively read, but I would also do the tarot reading. But I also put, what did I put underneath it too? Spiritual guidance, mentorship, spiritual readings, healings. I incorporate all that. But I agree. There is a difference between doing intuitive readings and reading cards. Cards. Yeah. What's going on? I saw
in the chat. Yeah, they're talking about the difference between kind of the pagan way and the Abrahamic religions way. We were at a point that in the chat we're agreeing that Abrahamic religions are judgmental.
Yeah. Because they feel like they have the truth, the way.
Yeah. And they are the way to heaven, and that you need to follow them to save your immortal soul from hell.
Oh gosh.
And what the fuck?
There's a lot of things that I've done in my life that tarot is not the one that's going to get me to hell.
I know, right? I know.
Let's be real, okay?
So real.
There is a question in here. It says, how do I start learning tarot? Just by understanding the cards? And what question? Is it just by understanding the cards? And what deck is best for learning in the beginning?
Where's that? Didn't see that.
At the top.
Oh.
How do you start learning tarot? Just by understanding the cards? Question mark. And what deck is best for learning in the beginning?
Oh gosh, now it's different for me now.
I know, right?
Geez. If I were to go back in time, and if I could change the way that I learned the tarot, I think I would have taken a class. And there were classes back then at like the metaphysical shops for tarot. And so I think I would have taken a class just to help me open up my psychic ability and my intuition, because I lacked that going into tarot in the middle somewhere, and I didn't want to correlate the two together. I wanted tarot to be separate and my psychic to be separate, and I learned that they can't be separate. It's kind of like when I did the what's your reading style, and I told you there was the spectrum. There was tarot reader and psychic, and you have to know where you're at on that spectrum at times, because you always want to be in the middle as an integrative tarot reader, because you're integrating all this stuff that you've learned into it, like numerology and all this other things. I wish I would have learned a lot of that stuff earlier on than just doing tarot only, because that's what I thought the way was tarot only. So
yeah, I would agree. Doing or taking a class or finding some sort of person who was already intuitive, whether it's a formal class or whether like a mentorship or something,
yeah,
with someone who could aid me in opening psychic abilities, or opening, however, enlightening or awakening or whatever the term you want to use. I agree, because that does play a huge part. I think, though, for me, I think I was more an intuitive reader in the beginning,
mm-hmm.
and then became a tarot reader.
Mm-hmm.
I would have flipped that. I would have become a tarot reader first and then brought in the intuitiveness, because it was hard for me to unlearn things that I was doing in the beginning. Like I read the cards intuitively, and then it was hard to associate real meanings and symbolisms into it. So I feel like if I would have had a stronger foundation in what the traditional symbolisms and traditional meanings were, and then been able to tap into the intuitiveness, I think it would have been better. That's how I would approach it. And that's probably, I mean, would you agree?
Yes, yeah. You do have to learn the cards, and I tell this to all my students and everyone that says I want to learn. I go, it's fine and dandy for you to open up intuitively and to get information, but you really do have to learn those cards, and you have to come up with your own key words. You can hear all the keywords you want from us, and we can tell you these are the keywords, but in all reality, as you move forward, those keywords change, because when the cards are grouped together, they form a different set of language.
Yeah,
and so if you only go like, oh, this keyword is this keyword is this keyword is that, you're still having to put that together and tell a story.
And that's where I think intuition comes in. I think that's where, I mean, because sometimes if you just use those keywords like, I don't know, like wisdom, mystery, journey.
Yeah.
What the hell? What are you telling me? What does that have to do with my marriage?
Yeah.
I want to insight about my marriage. What does wisdom journey mean? What are you saying? Divorce? What are you saying? Baby? What are you saying? Kind of thing. And I think that's where that intuition helps us, and that psychic ability helps us tune into our querent and be like, oh, this is how it flows into that.
And then you can say, like, if you're getting transformation or if you're getting change, your thoughts are already going to, well, what's that change? And then your psychic ability is kicking in, and you're getting, oh, it's because whatever, like a change in career, change in life. And you're saying, oh, but the cards are still telling you that change is taking place. We have to figure out what that change is.
Yeah, exactly.
And the cards can come up too, like another card, you can pull another card, and what if it's the, if it's the wands, we know it's having to deal with career. We know it's having to do, and we can say, oh, it's career. Okay, there's my confirmation for it. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, what's the best, what deck do you generally suggest for new readers?
Well, I went backwards, so I didn't believe in Rider Wyatt. I wanted to go fancy and just do a deck that was outrageous, and I think I got like, what was my first tarot deck?
I don't know.
Oh, my first tarot deck was Hanson Roberts, but I didn't want to follow it. So I went to Oracle decks, and then I think I went to like, I think I bought my Vision Quest tarot, not Vision Quest, but like Artist Tarot deck or whatever, and it was very abstract. And I was like, I'm gonna read this deck. And what am I ending up with? I'm ending up with Rider Wyatt decks. And so I would start with Rider Wyatt, only because the symbolism, only because that's what when you go and learn, everyone pulls from that. A lot of your beginner decks with wordings on them is Rider Wyatt or Rider Wyatt based, or you have the symbolisms there, and a lot of them have the keywords for you. And so, yeah, I would go that route.
Yeah. My first deck was the Egyptian Tarot.
I think, oh, my friend had that. Sean had that one. I like that deck, actually.
I like it now, but it has no images except like the wands on the wands, and there's like no other images on it. So I was memorizing keywords, which was not helpful. But I would suggest Rider-Waite too.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Obsidian suggested in the
Yay!
Because it has the traditional symbolism that a lot of other decks, like you said, they pull from.
Yes.
It may not look like it, but they're still using that symbolism because it's tarot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I do believe that in your journey, I would dare the tarot reader to go and get like the Italian or the Spanish tarot decks that only have the major arcana and the rest of them are just non-picturesque cards, because you'll memorize the cards faster if you don't have a picture in front of you. Your keyword will come faster because you'll be like, oh, that means that. And then when you do have pictures in front of it, I think the pictures will help you intuitively. But it is fun to test your knowledge on, I don't have a picture, what does it mean? You know, because you have to remember in your own, you know, your mind, like, oh, it means this. Okay. And then it makes you flow a little bit more into your intuitive as well, because you don't have anything to go off of.
Right. What I think is interesting sometimes is finding decks that are still have some Rider-Waite in, you know, symbolism, but they switch them. They switch cards, like totally. Like, what is it? That as above, so below deck that I'm using, where there are planets on the fire cards. Like, what? You know,
I could not work with that.
Yeah. It's hard. Yeah.
I give you props on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my time with that deck is coming to an end. But someone recently in a reading asked me to use the Rider-Waite, and I'm like, oh, okay. I haven't used it in years. Oh, my favorite deck. You know, you go back to it and it's like, wow, this is so easy. It's like, piece of cake. I'll do this reading. Sure. And fly right through it. Where we kind of went off on a little tangent.
Family, friends. I mean, if they're your friend, they'll be a very understanding. If they're Christian based and you're choosing to go on this path and it's the beginning, you get what you're going to get. And that's just the journey of getting past, you know, the hump. And you're going to have to learn to get your spiel together and answer questions. And if you don't know the answer, then I would say to them, I'm questioning that myself. So I'll let you know when I find the answer. But most of my friends were supportive. A lot of my friends were supportive, actually. They actually were into the witchy stuff. I didn't really meld with the Catholic kids or the Christian kids. Like, I was such an oddball that it just didn't work out that way.
Yeah, I had my one really close, best friend, my soul sister. She was Christian, very devout Christian, raising her children Christian, but she was really, she actually would come to me for readings all the time. Through her divorce, through some really serious shit, she would come to me for her readings. And even when her priest told her that those things, you know, she shouldn't be doing it, it didn't stop her from getting readings from me. And actually, we went to Catholic high school together. So, I mean, you know, we were really close. And I thought, you know, she would be the first person to defend me. You know, so I think it really depends on the individual, and it depends on the relationship with the individual. I mean, she still would tell, you know, she still raised her sons Christian, but if they had questions about magic and stuff like that, she would direct them to me. Like, you know, really is Harry Potter real, kind of thing, you know? She would have me answer it. But I think there was a mutual respect and understanding, you know? I don't think I've also met Christians that were very different from her. Like, you know, my mom saying that, you know, the tarot's from the devil. But it, like with your mom, it's a don't ask, don't tell kind of thing. She won't ask about it. Although when my dad wanted to get a reading from me, and I'm like, sure, Dad, when do you want it? My mom talked him out of it.
Oh.
Honey, you know you shouldn't be getting that done. What would the priest say? No, you can't do that. And then he never got the reading from me. But
you know, my mom knows what I do because my dad's side of the family would come to me for readings. And there they, you know, go off and gossip all they want. They tell everybody on my dad's side of the family whatever fuck happens. And so I knew it got back to her. She just never asked me. And, you know, it's hard because I wish I had that relationship with my mom in the way that I have a relationship with Brenda Ridgway that I do mediumship, you know, that I'm learning mediumship from. Like I consider her my spiritual mama, but I don't tell her that. But like, she's so open to everything that it's fun to have these conversations with her and be connected that way. And so I wish my mom was like that because it would be nice to talk about what I do and how much good I do.
Yeah. I wish more Christians were more tolerant. Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
It's funny, all they preach, you know, what they do preach, you know, Jesus is love and this and that and God.
Yes.
And they are fucking totally unable to apply what they preach.
Yep.
I mean, just guys, keep your mouth shut until you will be actually able to practice what you preach. Until that, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I think we do more than they do. I think sometimes we're more willing to be part of the community. We're more willing to give the shirts off our back. We do more creative things to help this universe become better than what they're doing. And it makes me mad when we're the ones that are looked at that we're bad. And we're not.
Yeah.
No, we're not. I mean, okay, there is bad people everywhere, from every path, from every religion, from this, because this is not a question of past or religion. This is a personal matter. This is a question of who you are.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be judged for what we believe in. They should judge on what we are doing as an individual, on our acts, the way we interact with people, the way we are trying to connect to people. When most of the Christian people are just, you know, kind of hiding under the Catholic umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, that's so boring.
Yeah.
God. I think there was, in the chat, there was something, a kind of question going on, or something.
Does anybody know where the tarot originated?
I think that's,
Wasn't it that game? Wasn't there a game?
Yes, it was a card game. Taroche. I think it's called. And I think one of the queens used to use it or one of the. There was a movie, Queen Elizabeth, wasn't it? Like one of the handmaids or someone used to do it. They used to read fortunes with it. But I don't know. Like even I think I read a book, like one of the main books from U.S. Games about tarot, and there really is no. I mean, it's all speculation where it totally came from, like why tarot was used as divination. I think just people picked it up like any form of divination.
Yeah, I agree. I know there was that card game, and I remember then they added something to it, whether the card game was just the majors and then they added the minors or something, and it expanded over time. Someone added to it, and then someone else did different images for it, and it just sort of evolved. I could never find the exact point when it changed from a game to divination. Just like people use the bicycle cards, when did people start using that for divination? I don't think we can ever really pinpoint the one spot. I think human beings have always been looking for ways to divine,
Yes.
and ways to commune and communicate, that they just find different ways of doing it with things that are around,
I don't even think if I did my class finally, like I want to do my class, but I don't think I want to touch subject on where it came from or how, it doesn't really matter. It's here now. So learning it is a different set of things. If you want to learn and where it came from, there's millions and millions of books in Barnes and Nobles. Stick your finger at one of them, take it and read it. That's how I feel. And, you should be reading. You should be reading about the different ideas that are out there or where it came from or what, so you can have knowledge. If you hear my opinion of where it came from and it differs from someone else and you want to question that, I don't need that. I don't need that. Let's get to the nut and bolts of things, which is learning the tarot.
Someone said that it originated in northern Italy. Yeah.
There you go.
Maybe.
Gypsies used original playing cards. Yeah. Yep, but why? Why and when? And does it really matter?
Yeah.
Does it really matter? If it works for you, it works for you.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever, Aaron, have you ever felt guilt or a little fear when you first started using tarot or any kind of, even the oracle cards, any leftover, Christian concern or fear?
I don't know. I didn't, because I think I was struggling with my sexuality then, that took a major role before tarot did. Yeah. So
sexuality or tarot?
Sexuality, yeah. I think I
okay, I'm going to worry about the
tarot. I think I chastised myself more for being gay than I did for using tarot. So tarot was more of an outlet because I felt different. And by going towards magic and tarot, that different person inside of me could be expressed more than being in a relationship with a guy.
Right.
Back then. Now it's different. But
there's no guilt now with the tarot though, right?
Oh no, not at all.
Yeah.
No way.
I never had any either. As strange as that is. I think by the time I picked up a tarot deck and actually started using it, me and the church were so divorced.
Yeah.
I had been a Jehovah's Witness. I had been a Methodist and a Jehovah's Witness. So, and even using tarot, I had more guilt in leaving the Jehovah's Witnesses organization than even picking up a deck of tarot cards. The guilt from that I had to overcome, that I was going to hell because I left the truth.
Oh God.
Than picking up a thing of tarot cards.
Yeah.
So yeah, I never had.
My husband struggled because he was Jehovah's Witness. He was baptized.
Oh, see,
he got out of it. Yeah, yeah, get out of it. We got together, and he struggled with a lot of that part of it, like picking up decks and getting into it and practicing his runes. He struggled with that more than he struggled with the sexuality part of it, because I think he was more comfortable with the gayness part of it, because he knew already. He's like, I'm gay, I love flags, we have flags everywhere because of him. Thank you, Brian. But the whole learning the tarot and the runes, he still struggles with religion and what it does. Yeah, it's with me. I think I struggled more with my sexuality back then than I did tarot. I loved tarot. I loved magic. I knew there was something more than Catholicism, and I explored that at 13. So, I don't know.
Wow. The guilt, leaving a religion, no matter what religion it is, the guilt can be very overwhelming when you start, so say you make peace with leaving the religion. Okay. And then when you start living life and try not to worry about doing things that they said was wrong or against God or whatever, That can be really tough, man.
Yeah.
They love using guilt as a weapon.
Yeah.
Yep, they sure do.
Because it's good. It's a powerful tool.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
Yes, it is.
it helps them to gain control over you.
Yeah.
They are gaining control over your thought and your very action. That's the way, in my opinion, that's the way Abrahamic religions manage to stay, to keep up through the century, because they are basically telling you what to do and what to think. And they are learning you that you shouldn't think by yourself. Starting from there, anything you would do by yourself gonna raise a question, and gonna have a bit of chance that if you left, you will return to them in fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fear is the key.
Mm-hmm.
Control is the goal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for them, I think.
Yeah, because me and Brian will have conversations about the religion, being Jehovah's Witness, and the stuff they would tell them, like, don't you think this is wrong? And I now I tell him, like, we're at the card, and I'm like, I would tell him to go fuck off. And who the hell you think you are telling me what the fuck to do? And he's like, but sweetheart, you can't. We didn't think that way then. Like,
No, you don't.
You learned to not think that way. You had to take it like, oh, I shouldn't be thinking that way.
Right. Right. It's true.
Yeah,
It's
it
true.
is.
It is. It's true. Yeah, because you don't question. You just hear that this comes down from Jehovah's chosen organization, and you believe that, these elders are, somehow are more knowledgeable than you, and they actually aren't.
No.
I know.
At some point, when someone has spent too much time into very judgmental beliefs, like, in my opinion, Jehovah's Witness are, because I have bad relationship with this particular one. At some point, so when you have spent too much time, those considers as elders no less actually than the young people, because they have, in my opinion, forget how to think, really think. And so in the end, they know less than you do about life, about anything.
Orion Fox is suggesting that Jewish religion is not really based on fear, and I think it's kind of unfair to say that they are. My question, I don't know a lot about the Jewish religion, but the only thing that I would ask someone who knows the Jewish religion more than me, which is going to be probably anybody, the Torah is based on the first 5 books of the Bible, and I believe that the Jewish religion follows the 10 Commandments. And to me, when I've read the 10 Commandments, it is based on fear of upsetting God.
Yeah.
That you have to follow these 10 Commandments or you're not following God. And there's a fear in not observing the 10 Commandments, isn't there? I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I find that a lot of organized religions, there is a fear of displeasing God. And because if you displease God, there is punishment. And as a parent, punishment is a form of instilling fear in our children.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you do as I say, or you're going to be punished. I mean, and you're going to be punished by me because I'm your parent, whether it's a timeout, whether it's a stern talking to, whether it's a taking away privileges, we're still using fear to control.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, in my own head, when I'm questioning about, is this church or this spirituality is really open or not, is judgmental or not. The first question, and you see, maybe it's kind of stupid, but for me it means a lot. The first question that I ask to myself is how this path or church or beliefs react to LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
That's for me that it enlighten if they are truly kind or not.
Yeah.
If they react bad to every LGBTQ community members. So for me, it's a no.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why with I'll mostly go towards Centers for Spiritual Living with like Ernest Home and Science of Mind, but a lot of I think Universalist churches are good, spiritualist churches are good. You're going to get the bad people and the kooks and stuff like that and whatever. That's part of religion. That's part of a community. You're going to get that sometimes, but it's what's in their heart. But with that, they're more encompassing of everything. All religions believing everything is leading to one commonality, which is love and acceptance and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. At least it should be.
Yes. Yes, I agree.
It should be. But I didn't see that much, and honestly, it's kind of depressing.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed by humans.
Any last thoughts? We're coming up to 9:30. Any last thoughts on the idea of the tarot with the when people say it's of the devil? Any last thoughts we want to share before we wrap up here?
Nope, not for me.
I think so.
No,
I cannot really have an opinion on that because I am not a tarot reader, as you know. It's a bit tricky for me.
Yeah. Any last thoughts in the chat about tarot approaching or answering people who may say that tarot is of the devil and how you might want to approach it? I mean, I guess for me, just the overall thing is, it's going to depend on the individual approaching me about that and the context in which we're conversing, and who that person is and what my relationship with that person is. I mean, obviously, if they're a family member or a friend who really believes this and is really concerned about me or is curious, or if I can have a conversation with them, then I will. Not with the idea that I'm going to change their mind, but at least with the idea of giving them a different perspective to consider. But if they're a stranger, I don't really worry too much. But again, if I have an opportunity to educate, I like to do that first, if I think I'm going to get somewhere with it.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm also not into wasting my time.
No.
Because you don't want to give pearls to pigs, right? Or swine. Pearls to swine. Some kind of Bible quote, I believe that is. Ha ha ha. Yeah. All right. Well, we're at 9:29. Thank you, Aaron, for joining us. This was nice. Instead of always doing readings, we should try to come up with another topic, and we'll schedule Aaron another day to come and chat with us if he's still available for that.
Yes.
And next week we have Cole Ledbetter. We're going to talk about vampirism next week with Cole. So tune in. Camel poop and sticks. Yeah, okay. I just happened to glance over at chat and saw camel poop and sticks. All right. And so thank you for joining us, Aaron and Obsidian. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Okay, so je suppose que c'est terminé. Oui, c'est terminé. En espérant que ça vous ait plu. N'hésitez pas à laisser des commentaires, surtout pour CricketSong et pour Aaron, parce que je ne suis pas vraiment concernée par le sujet. Donc, n'hésitez pas à laisser des commentaires en dessous. Je suis sûre qu'ils vous répondront. Et on se voit la semaine prochaine. Bye bye.
Yep.
Bye.
I don't know, whatever she said. Bye. Love you all. Blessed be.
Blessed
Bye.
be.